You have questions? We have answers. Welcome to the Therapist Question Box with your host, Miss Lindsay Schiss.
Hi, this is Lindsay Schiss. Welcome back to another episode of the Therapist Question Box, where we are here to answer your questions. Any mental health question, we are here to tackle. As a reminder, you can go to the therapyutah.org website and submit any question that you have. Today I have with me Anna Smith, and Anna is a therapist at Therapy Utah, and I would say one of my girls, meaning just one of my pals at Therapy Utah. We do a lot of shop talk together. Our offices are a couple doors away, and so really happy to have you here, Anna.
I'm excited to be here.
So today we are going to be talking about listening. And listening is something, it's interesting. I'm teaching at the University of Utah, and one of the books that we read is that the students are reading is all about listening. It's called Listening Well.
You should be giving this.
No, I should not. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, like, it's interesting. It is a need, right? That a skill that we often are not great at. Right. So when some of the students would say, like, why do we even need to learn this? And then at the end of the semester, they say, oh, that was actually really helpful. Right?
Exactly. I would say this is almost the number one thing that brings couples into counseling is because they are communicating. They're just not communicating well. And they're talking to each other and they think they're listening but they're not understanding. And that's really the key to listening is they need to understand each other.
Ooh, so good. We're going to dive into that, listening versus understanding, and what the difference is. So let's get to our listener question, and then we'll go back to that. So here's the question. I want to be a better listener, but I keep catching myself preparing my response instead of truly hearing the other person. How do I break this habit and learn to listen in a way that makes people feel truly understood? What a great question. Right. And I also thought, what an introspective question. This is a person who's aware that they want to be better and that they're always formulating responses instead of really listening. Right. So let's talk about that. First of all, what she said was this is a habit that she is and maybe it's not a she, they are formulating responses instead of listening well. Why do we do that?
So this is interesting that she's actually, or they're saying that they want to do a better job because I would say most people are pretty unaware of what they're doing.
So true.
In the situation. And so I love that it is an introspection instead of a blaming of someone else. I would actually say as we go through this, it would be really good for anyone to look and say, maybe I do that one a little bit too much.
Isn't that in therapy in general? I will often say, like, instead of you thinking about how your partner or somebody else in your life, I want you to look at yourself and where does this apply to you versus blaming and looking outside of yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because even preparing this, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I want to share my personal stories of when I have not done this well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all have them. So buckle up. Here we go.
Right?
So let's go back to what we were talking about, listening versus understanding. What is the difference and why does it matter?
So one is more active, right? Listening is active also. I would say hearing is not necessarily so active.
Yes.
And I think that's actually what most people do. We hear the words. We don't actually try to comprehend or understand what that person is feeling, the emotion behind it, the intention behind it. We form our own story so that we can actually find our answer to their question. We're looking to fix a problem. We're looking to get our point across. We defend. All of those things come into play when they just want to be heard. They want to be understood.
Yes. So if we are if we're defending, if we're actually just trying to formulate our response, then we're really not listening. We're hearing them, but they're not listening.
Right.
We're not listening. And it's so apparent. Like, I think back in my life when I have felt truly heard and understood, it is like healing in a different way. To feel like somebody is with you and that they actually are attuning to what you're saying. They're trying to understand your heart. Boy, it's really amazing. And I think it speaks to the fact that it doesn't happen that often.
I would say that's so true. I was thinking of someone that my kids adore one of their aunts because she listens so well. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't bring in her stories. She just listens. And you can see the empathy on her face when she's talking to you. She's one of everyone's favorite people to talk to because she just hears you. She's got eye contact. Her body language is saying, I want to learn about you.
Isn't that awesome? And it's interesting. It's one of everybody's favorite people.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Because she really cares.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, as you're saying that, it makes me think, how do we really attune ourselves to somebody else? There's so much noise. There's so many things going on in our lives. How do we really stay focused? I mean, I know for me as a mom, I feel like that's one of my superpowers and also probably biggest weaknesses is my mind's in about 10 places all the time. And I'm trying to multitask, which I've learned and we've all learned isn't actually that helpful. But, how do we do that? How do we quiet the noise in our own head to really be attuned to somebody else?
I love that you actually brought that example up because that was one of I asked my husband before as I was preparing him, like, what's one way that I don't listen well? And he says, you're actually a really great listener, except for when you're getting ready to leave or when you first get home.
Interesting.
And I thought, well, yeah, because I've got all these things I've got to get done.
Right. Yeah. Your mind's in other places.
Oh, yeah. That is one of the times, right? When my mind is prioritizing other things, honestly.
Yes.
So I would say that's probably the first way we want to change listening is prioritizing the conversation and the person that's in front of us.
So prioritizing the conversation. When you get home from work, though, do you need a minute? Or when you're leaving, like, I'm wondering if this goes both ways, because if he now knows, you now know this, and he now knows this, maybe he knows maybe this isn't the best time. Maybe you actually don't have the capacity to prioritize the conversation or whatever he's saying, right? I'm not saying ignore, but I think there's accountability on both parts.
Absolutely. So when I say that, I think it would be actually better to say, prioritize your task or what you're doing at the time.
Yes.
Because yes, my husband and I have a really good agreement that when we walk in the door, we want 10 minutes minimum, right? Sometimes we'll say, I need 20 minutes in the bedroom. And that can be from work, church, anything. When I'm too busy with for my kids, I'm in the middle of finishing a project or working, things like that. I'm like, hey, I know I'm not listening very well right now. Can we talk later? We'll come back to it. Or if I forget to say that, I can even do it afterwards. I can go back and say, hey, you know what? I know I wasn't giving you all my attention earlier. Can we talk now?
Gosh, that is so healing too. Like
yes.
I'm coming back and recognizing I didn't do it right. You know, you're saying I could do better, and I'm here to give you my undivided attention. As you said that, I thought of growing up, and my mom was busy and she worked and she was involved in several things. And I remember trying to spit out what I wanted to say as quickly as possible because I knew she was in a hurry. And this is by no means a knock on her, but often I have wondered, do my kids do the same thing where they're like, let me hurry because I know she's going to be on to something else. But to really give somebody your time and say, you know what, I wasn't listening, that takes accountability. And to say, you know what, I wasn't there and I want to be. And now I'm available and I want to be present in the conversation.
It repairs too.
Yes.
But I would say, you know, there are basics that we've got to do for understanding and listening in that way. And I want you to notice, like, one of them was her body language. Whether she meant to put that off as I'm too busy or not, you're reading her body language. If someone's like shaking their foot the whole time you're talking, you're like, oh, I'm either annoying them, they're too busy for me, I'm irritating them. You're reading into that.
Totally.
Already.
Body language is huge, right?
Yes.
The same thing with your phone. Like you can have that phone and be saying, yes, I'm listening and I'm here. But if someone's on their phone, how does it feel?
Oh, it feels awful.
Right.
It's just like, I am wasting my time. You are not hearing anything I say.
Right. Even if it's like, okay, they're listening, they're saying the things, but it's the body language and what we're doing actually is so indicative of us actually listening.
So that's another basic, eye contact. Right? If I'm looking at my phone, I am not looking at them.
Yes.
I've got all these other things that are interrupting my all of the knowledge and all of the listening that's going on in my head.
Yes. So that's excellent that we're eye contact, body language. Those are two indicators of listening.
Nodding, what
Okay.
you're doing right now, right? You're saying like, okay, I'm listening to you. I'm understanding it. And then using I statements. Those would be my 4 basics. Please just put down everything. Let your body language be open to the person. Nod for understanding and make eye contact.
Okay. That seems so easy, but it is not.
It's not.
It is not easy. But one of the things that I think might make it easier is what you said, is really having boundaries around when I can engage in conversation and not trying to engage when I'm actually not able to.
Yes.
Honoring that.
But how good would that feel if we actually gave ourselves permission to say, I can't engage right now?
If we gave ourselves permission and also the people around us chose to respect that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because sometimes they're in a hurry or they're anxious or something else is going on for them. So there's a lot of dynamics that come into play when we consider this.
Absolutely.
Again, it's not just one way, it's a two-way street.
It is absolutely a two-way street. And there's so much to be gained when you use it as a two-way street. Empathy is created between both of you. That space to be creative, new ideas to come through, as well as it's just really empowering for both people in the conversation, even everyone. Like if you're in a group, but you're giving each other space to actually get their emotions or their thoughts through, it's empowering.
Yes, it is. Giving them space. And you know what I think about that is the role of silence.
Yes.
Like silence and listening and not having this internal dialogue of what needs to be said next. How can I respond? Do I need to, come up with something witty or clever or whatever? But just being silent, right? I mean, I think we all feel that pressure. So how do we manage that pressure of like not needing to respond, but being willing to sit in silence?
Okay, that's an interesting thing. As I was preparing for this podcast, I was reading a lot of research. I was listening to other people on it. One of the ones that said was listen. If you change the letters around, actually can spell silent.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
I had never paid attention to that.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh yeah, there's nothing worse. My husband and I are both, we love to tell funny stories, right? And so as people are talking, there has been times where we're like, oh, I've got something for you. It's kind of makes it feel like a one-up. I'm not really listening to you. If we had a good conversation about this, because if I say, oh, I've got a headache. Yeah, me too. Right? I'm like, that doesn't validate me. That doesn't make me feel like you're actually listening to what I'm saying. You're preparing for what you want to say.
Right.
You steal the attention away right away.
Do you think that is intended to validate? Because I have people in my life that I know are trying to actually like, hey, I feel you. I get you. I'm with you. But it actually feels really invalidating.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, when my brother passed away, I remember that first week when I wasn't in a good space yet, I had a brother die too. I had a sister pass away too. And I thought, and then they would just go on and start telling me their story. And I was like, oh, I don't have space for this right now. And it was so overwhelming. But I think that's how we feel even when it's not something big.
Absolutely.
It feels overwhelming and very devaluing.
Yes.
To not be heard.
Oh, that's such a good example, Anna, that, and it makes me wonder, why did people do that? Why do we do that as people to say, okay, I get it. Is it a way of trying to empathize, trying to maybe manage some of the discomfort in the room? But like you said, this wasn't about them. This was about your pain and about your loss. And all of a sudden it got shifted to be about them.
Yes. I think it is a form of connection.
Yeah.
It doesn't work though. Just like we're trying to fix problems often when we're listening. We're trying to connect with them. We're trying to be, have purpose for them. But both of those go back to you're not actually listening to the emotions that are coming through on the other end.
You know, it makes me wonder if part of it is our discomfort with the emotions.
Absolutely.
You know, when you are talking about your brother's death, people have a hard time with that. And sitting in that sadness and grief and discomfort with other people is really vulnerable.
It is very vulnerable.
So it's easier to just try to maybe switch it or talk about something that feels like a little, maybe not even lighter, but that they don't have to go to that place with you.
Yes. Yeah. And I would say that is one of the biggest issues with listening is that our nervous system gets really deregulated. And it says, I'm getting